why do you feel like this was something that was a wise decision for you to use this money to drop, $25,000 on 500 units?
So the great thing, and we talk about this a lot, about evergreen products. So those are name brand products. You can look back at the history of sales on Amazon and see the price, throughout the last 2 or 3 years. And I know, like, on products like this, if for whatever reason, say the floor drops out and I need to move these quickly, I can reduce the price to $65. I can break even, reduce it to $69 and break even. And those things are going to sell through crazy fast. And so that's the confidence when you have an evergreen brand, a name brand product, and then you have the history of those sales. You know that it's a little bit of a risk, but at the end of the day, you can probably lower your price and then quickly recoup your money.
I'm putting you on the spot a little bit, but if you had to estimate how much profit you would make from this deal or this buy, what would you say at the end of the year that you'd end out with?
Yeah, so my goal, again, on a $25,000 buy on a long-term hold product like this, I want to be able to net profit between $12,000 and $15,000 on that 25.
So I ran the numbers and you pulled exactly in my range. So what I did is I calculated how many units you bought, and then you said $109. I took out 30% for referral and FBA fees for that. That got me down to around like a $25 profit per unit. And I calculated that you had about 480, and that got me to $12,019. So I did the rough math as you're talking, and you were in range. Goal. I don't know if you did the math. You probably did when you first bought them, but that was my math. That was my really rough math while you're talking. So $12,019 profit on a $25,000 buy. If you would have put that in the bank and left it there over the past year, you would be at $25,005 or whatever it would be from your interest at the bank. And instead, the goal is to end the year with $32,000 that you have to then flip into something else eventually, right?
Right. And that's the great thing about physical products, where, you have different investment instruments out there that you can invest your money in. But at the end of the day, when you are purchasing physical products, and again, it all starts with the buy, you do have a asset there that you can then sell, right? Where a lot of times, again, if you're investing in crypto, you're really dependent upon the markets. But when you buy a physical product, I have something physical there in my warehouse that I can sell at the end of the day. It may not be for the price that I'm hoping for or I want, but I know that I will be able to sell it.
Yeah. And it's, we aren't trashing on crypto. Both of us have, done different stuff with crypto at different times. It's just that I think what you're saying is that you feel like, given your specialized knowledge that you have, you can control this type of purchase a lot more. And someone else might be able to do that with crypto if they're like a wizard at it and they know the market. We don't, but arbitrage and Amazon selling is something we know. And that $25,000 buy to you was a lot less risky, given all the factors that you added up for why you did it, right?
Yeah, absolutely. And again, for those that are just watching, maybe that you're interested in selling on Amazon, it really does come down to that name brand recognition. And that's the beauty of selling on Amazon. You can look at the history of these name brands and you can see the price fluctuations, and you can get a really good idea what kind of return you're going to get on your investment.
And then I would just add this. Last week, we did a whole episode talking about why we think it's so important to build a cash flowing business, which is not what we're talking about here. You're talking about long hold strategy, not a cash flow strategy. But the only reason you're able to do this is because you do have cash flow coming in from the businesses that we've established the last few years. And so most sellers starting out need to turn and flip all the time. Gary Ray talks about, he would rather have a fast nickel than a slow dime when he's starting out his business, because that's how you're going to get that compound effect. And that's the way that we always did it before. You would occasionally do long-term buys, but probably a lot less back in the day when we were doing more of the getting the cash flow business established. And so that's one of the reasons we talk about this, though, because once you do have the cash flow business established, it allows you to do these long-term buys where you can afford to have $25K tied up for a year or longer, where if you don't have that as an extra, asset, there's no way you're going to want to tie that up if you know that you're going to need that money soon. And if you talk to any investment advisor when it comes to the stock market, that's exactly what they tell you. They say, hey, if you're going to invest this money in the stock market, your minimum timeline really should be like 5 years, which sounds kind of long sometimes. Most people are like throwing money in the stock market almost like in a day trading effort where you're going to pull it out in the next year. That's really not what any investment advisor would tell you. They're saying this is long-term, 10 years even plus, don't touch it, because most people then will take it out during lows when they kind of have to. And so I think that's the same way that we've treated these long-term buys that you did in this Nerf gun. Is you're like, hey, if I need to hold this for 2 years even, I'm okay with that, because I don't need this money to live on, or not just live on, my business doesn't need this money to operate, because that's even just as important when it comes to growing a business. Is does the business need it? I love that story. I love those types of long-term holds.